Hello everybody, this is Abraham with North Shore Computer Services. What I got here is this diabetic sensor that I have to put on myself. This is the second one. I'm going to do some research on the first one that I had, and first I want to put on the sensor, the second one, the new one that I have. Let's see. And I want to talk about some negatives of these systems. And there are a few. The positive is that it measures your sugar constantly. So we're gonna just wipe with alcohol the location where the sensor gets placed. This is the sensor, this is the applicator. We're gonna open up the sensor. Location, you want to have it inside. They're showing that you need it outside. You want to have it a little more inside because it catches on stuff. Also, the sensor fell off sooner than 14 days. It's a 14-day sensor, and I was quite disappointed because it's supposed to be on for 14 days. After it fell off, I noticed a rash around where the needle goes in. It's not really a needle, but it's something that penetrates your body. So we opened up the sensor, the applicator goes on like that. You match the two lines, just like that. That transfers the sensor from one section to another. Put it out. The sensor is ready to be placed. There is a little needle here that's going to penetrate and then retract, I hope. That's what I'm going to find out from the other one. So just going to place it just like that. You feel absolutely nothing. No pinch, no. Sensor is applied. Originally, you use this doohickey to scan the sensor, but I want to use my phone. There is an application that allows you to scan your sensor with the phone. I believe it uses NFC or Bluetooth or something like that. So we're going to click next and scan new sensor. Let's see. Oh. All right. Blinked something. Unable to scan the sensor. Scan it again. Okay. Okay. And it says now that the sensor will be ready soon. So 9:31 is when it's going to get ready. Okay, so this we don't need anymore. But what I am curious about, and interestingly, you cannot have both the original scanner and the phone connected to the same sensor. You can only have one or the other. So with the previous sensor, I scanned it with this thing and I tried it with the phone and it said, no, can't do it. So the sensor is already paired to another device. Okay. This is the applicator and the new one, and I want to see the old one. I'm going to reposition the camera and I'm going to try and take this whole thing apart because I'm curious how it works. Because I'm not sure what I will need for my first disassembly, I grabbed all the possible tools that could be needed. So take that out, take that. Here is the sensor. Come on. Oh. So it sits inside of this applicator. We'll take a look at that in a minute. You can see this little needle looking, come on, so slippery looking thing here. It's not actually a needle, but it is the sensor wire. I'm gonna peel off this sticky double-sided tape. I am curious about all these technologies that make our healthcare easier to administer and gives you the freedom. I don't know why here in the United States these things are always by prescription, because this is diabetic supplies. I don't think they should be by prescription only, because why would somebody abuse this technology? Well, in any case, this thing is fairly well glued together. I can see through the sensor, but I do want to take it apart if at all possible. Yep. Okay. I hope it won't explode in my face. God knows what booby traps they have inside there. And I'm trying not to damage the little sensor looking thing. Boy, they really make it difficult to take apart. It does not want to come apart, which is good. When you wear it on your body, you don't want it to fall apart. So the integrity of this is very good. Come on. But it's plastic, and if it's plastic, it will come apart eventually. Sorry, my hands are covering everything, so can't really see what's going on there, but I'm trying to pry this apart. There. Okay, really good. So the sensor part is actually connected to the motherboard with connectors, which is good that the motherboard didn't get damaged. There is a battery in here. There is a chip and some kind of either thermal sensor or antenna. Looks more like a thermal sensor to me, this thing here. Let's see if we can pry the motherboard out. And for those that are not in the United States, this unit is very expensive unless you have insurance. So this thing is, let's see, that's the thing that stays in your body, and this is the connector to the motherboard. And it is all fused together with no, it's not, it's just rubber. I thought they used like a ultrasonic fusing technique to get this. So this is just rubber contacts. It's metallized rubber, so let's see if we can pull that. Yep. Okay, and the actual sensor, here it is. I like this miniaturization of technology. Here we go. So there is the sensor. This is the little bee stinger that sits in your body. It's basically just a type of wire that is it's taking your blood measurements. Let me close this up a little bit. So this is the whole technology. This is the most difficult thing, I think, to make, the actual sensor that sits in your body. Then packaging, of course, is very important. This is the processing unit. There's a little battery here, which might still be good. And I don't know how much this circuit draws, but these batteries usually last a long time. And I don't know if what determines the length, how long this works, is the battery or deterioration of this piece. But this sensor is connected over here to these contacts, just like that. Through this, come on, just like that. Through this metallized rubber 3-prong connector. And that's how the sensor is put together. Okay, nice, very nice. Let's look at the applicator. These things are absolutely mind-boggling how they're put together, how they work. So we're going to pry those contacts out. Not contacts. Something that causes this to get raised and lowered. Let's see if we can grab this up. Nothing to grab onto. I don't know what to think over there. a lot of locks in there, so once it gets applied, you can't really unapply it. There's a spring in here. This blue thing was in there. Or no, this was out, that was in, something like that. These applicators. So, I have no idea how this is put together. We're just going to tear it apart, and hopefully with the next one, I'll be able to take it apart more. Ah, there it is. That's what I was looking for. So it's really interesting that this sensor wire is very flimsy and flexible. Okay? It is not able to penetrate the skin by itself. So there is a needle in here that helps the wire to penetrate your skin, so it punches and then retracts. And that's the technology I was looking at to basically review and see if there is something we can do about it to... Come on. It's very well made. This whole thing is it's made in such a way that you cannot take it apart easily. I'm gonna force it apart. And those that have the diabetes, that have to measure their sugar all the time, this is what you are putting into your body. And I just want to shed some light on how the technology works. The technology is amazing. The amount of time to develop it was also amazing. Here is the actual needle. And the needle, yeah, just like I thought. The needle is really interesting how it's made. It's open needle on one side through which they feed this sensor somehow. As it slams into your body, the needle goes in, I don't know if it can be seen, and then retracts, leaving sensor there. See, the needle is open on one side. I wish I had micro. It's really cool how this whole thing works. So this needle sits through the sensor like that, see? And then it punches you, the needle gets pulled out, the sensor stays in your body. And the mechanism for doing it is amazing, and the locks on this mechanism are just as amazing, meaning that if you want to reverse engineer this and try to replicate, it will be difficult. What I would suggest, if they want to do, because there's people that want to replicate the technology, make it so that it disintegrates after it's used. I mean, everything in this medical field is by expiration dates, so you can code the expiration date into the plastic itself and have it physically disintegrate once it's used up. This is the thing that holds the needle in, and this is how it's loaded originally. So the needle sits right in here, and the sensor body sits in here somehow like that. The sensor sits like this. There's all this positioning and all this amazing way that this whole thing is put together. So this is how it actually sits inside, and then when you apply, the blue thing gets pushed in, releases this spring that shoots the thing in, and what I'm curious about is how it retracts the needle. So the needle must be sitting, yeah, like that. And once I took the Trilicity applicator apart, yeah, see, the needle, once it's pushed in, gets retracted by this spring, and it sits deep inside of the applicator. So this blue thing was sticking out. The white piece is actually fused to the gray piece, so it cannot be, like, I was able to reset the Trilicity syringe and make it work again. I filled it up with water, and it's in one of the videos. But this one, yeah, this one they made it that it cannot be easily retracted, repeated. I'm going to take this thing apart and see what... so the needle was sitting inside that way. This is the one that grabs it and applies it. So this gray piece gets pushed in, I take it, yeah. But there are so many locks on this. It wasn't meant to be, in fact, not only that it wasn't meant to be taken apart, it was specifically made against being taken apart. So what I'm doing with these pry things is releasing the locks on the inside. But then there is another set of locks on the outside, and I have no idea how to get those released. Or grab anything, there's nothing to grab onto. Screwdrivers to just take it apart. I love this technology, how it works, but I'd like to see the actual mechanisms of life-saving mechanisms on the inside. Well, why don't we do this? Just open that up. Well, that's easy. the plastic is very soft and can get caught easily, very easily. It's almost like cutting butter. Okay. See, if you keep trying and keep prying, you will hit pay dirt, and this is pay dirt. On one hand, it's so impossible to take apart, and on another hand, they put plastic that is really easily cut by the knife. I just don't want to cut myself. Don't need any more blood spilled. So there's quite a few reviews on using these AGM sensors, and when I listened to them, it felt like they were put up by the drug manufacturers. So all those people that were praising the sensors seemed one-sided to me. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying that it seemed that the talk was there was a propaganda in the air. Curious why there is a need for this big thing in here. But I guess it's all part of the execution of the sensor installation into one piece and then another piece. So let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure. It took me a while to get down to the Trulicity syringe. This one is so it has some kind of grabbing arms that must match. What is it grabbing? Oh, this thing. So this must be sitting here. Yep, just like that. So see those grab arms hold it together to expose the needle, I take it, and then once you push it in, see it activates it and locks it in place. Arms the needle. And now this thing is, oh, I see what happens. The actual sensor part, because it's a separate part, just like that, it sits in the lower portion in here, and it gets activated, pushed into the sensor body, once you activate the sensor, so I think, yeah, just like that, it sits in here, just like that. You push it in, and it installs the sensor into here and activates the needle. That's what this thing does. Then this thing stays in, did I take it apart? Yeah. This thing stays in here like that, and when you push on it, it applies the sensor and retracts the needle. So it's several step process, and some of it I can see, but not all of it, and I don't know how to release the locks on this blue thing to retrieve it. To bring the blue thing out, because you push on the blue, that applies the sensor and retracts the needle. Well, this is not about money saving. This is just the inner workings of technology that I think is really nice. So this is the needle, and it's very well done. You have basically inexpensive materials here. This whole thing is, I mean, it's manufactured on a big scale. This whole thing cost the manufacturer a few dollars, $2-3 maybe. They sell it for $60, $70, $100. In the United States, there's just no limit to how much medications could cost, and this would definitely fall into a more expensive category. It's amazing. Let's see if our sensor got activated. No. It takes an hour for the sensor to get activated. All right. Hopefully this helps somebody to uncover some things you didn't know you might have a question about diabetic AGM sensors. Thank you for watching. Give me a like if you liked the video. Enjoy, subscribe, and if you can, save money.